Welcome back to another edition of Deep in the Plus. Each week we go deep into the Disney Plus catalog to find some movies, TV shows, or something else that you might have overlooked. And then we come back here and tell you if it's worth your time. This week, here's the sitch. We're talking about our first TV series, Kim Possible. Kim Possible, played by Christy Carlson Romano, is just your average high school cheerleader. But in her spare time, she saves the world from supervillains. Her best friend, Ron Stoppable, played by Will Friedle, and his pet Rufus always have her back. Then there's the guy in the chair. Not that guy, but the resourceful webmaster named Wade Load. Together, they collaborate on secret missions, and each episode they save the world. When she's not defeating bad guys, Kim still has to cope with typical teenage pressures of school, family, and social life. So the drama. So call me, beep me if you want to reach me, because we're going deep in the plus. Hey guys, so this week I have another special co-host with me, Deanne, and we are going to talk about Kim Possible, and it's because you picked it. So why did you pick it?
I picked it because it's my number one most favoritist Disney Channel cartoon series. So.
Number one most favoritist. That's
Yeah,
that's
yes.
saying a lot. So like more than DuckTales, more
Oh,
than Goof
oh
Troop.
yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. More than any of those. That was the one that I always had to watch, and I was bummed when it got canceled, and then they brought it back, so I was happy. So yeah, this is my most favorite. I just absolutely love it. So that's why I suggested it.
Okay, okay. So I went back and watched it, and I mean, it's a cool show. I mean, it's definitely one of those where, there's some things you say, hey, I watched, I don't know, something. Some people would go, oh, why did you watch that? But this is like a cool
Right.
vibe to it. It's a girl in high school. She's got like this whole spy on the side gig.
Yep.
She's got her own like supervillain nemesis. It's like it's a fun thing because she's like a sort of troubled high school teenager who also happens to be a super spy. So I'm
Exactly.
thinking that's how you related to her. Is that what happened?
Absolutely, absolutely. She's just a teenager who has to deal with school and everything that school and being in high school involves, dating, social life, cheerleading, all that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, she's saving the world. So it's just amazing. And um, I watched some episodes to get ready for this, and there was one where she says, I just saved the world and I still can't afford this jacket. So it's like it's like you in a way you can see her point. It's like she did this great thing for humanity and but yet she can't get a jacket from, Club Banana or whatever.
Or ask a boy to the prom or any of that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. So, which is a good point because they talk about her relationship issues and just how nervous she got when she was around her crush. And I think Crush is the very first episode that they aired. And just the fact that, yeah, she can do all these fantastic things, but she can't ask this guy out. So, yeah. So and it had some cool music to it. So, um,
Yes.
yeah.
What was your favorite song? I mean, obviously the intro song is like the one that you take with you.
Exactly.
And Christina Milian sang the song, and I actually thought I didn't know that. Like I thought maybe Christy Carlson Romano, the voice of Kim Possible, sang it, and
Oh,
then because she was an up and coming Disney like singer star too, but
yeah.
she Christina Milian, wow. I mean, it's like I can't get that song out of my head.
It's an absolute great song. And I have a prop. Is that okay?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
a pro.
Look, I got the Kim Possible soundtrack.
Ah, tell me the Naked Mole Rat rap is on there.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Which is that's my absolute favorite. I just love that. That was just a great song. But then they have Christy Carlson Romano does do a song on there. What's it called? Um, it was in one of the movies. Um, I think it was called "Say the Word," which is actually a pretty good song. So she does have a track on there.
Have after you decided that you would do this podcast with me, did you listen to this soundtrack over and over again in your car?
I did not. I did not. But the thing is, it's on my iPod, so it's like I know these songs. I mean,
Okay.
this. these are, I have listened to this CD, and it is on CD over and over again. So I totally know these songs.
This is like the soundtrack to your youth, right?
Not quite. Let's just say that when I was watching Kim Possible, I wasn't in their actual
Demo.
target graphic.
It's all good. That's all good. Clearly, I was not either, but I did love this show. I was, and we talk about Christy Carlson Romano. There are a lot of there are a lot of big names in this,
Yeah.
there were big names at the time, I guess is what I want to say. So like
Yeah.
Christy Carlson Romano was in Even Stevens, she was
Yep.
Ren, and that the fact that she would then come do this was, I think, kind of, Disney synergy mixed with like a really good idea. And
Right.
then you've got Will Friedle, who was also
Yep.
in ABC's Boy Meets World.
Yep.
Love me some Eric from Boy Meets World. I
I
think
do too.
he is so good and he's Ron Stoppable. And then Wade. So you've got Taj Mowry, the brother of Tia and Tamara, who was in Smart Guy at the time, which was not a Disney or ABC show, it was a WB show, but it was run by Walt Disney Productions. So clearly they were putting their own people into all these things. And then Nicole Sullivan, who is a great voice actress in every way, shape, or form, was Shigo. And then there were a lot of like little guest stars along the way too. So I mean, it was obviously a fairly like neat project for other people to work on, I would assume at the time.
Absolutely. One person that I didn't realize was a voice while I was watching it, but when I went back and selected it was Melissa McCarthy.
Oh,
Did you
okay.
know she was the voice of D.N. Amy? If you remember that character, she was the evil woman that tried to put together different animals
Okay.
and real life animals. And I didn't realize that Melissa McCarthy voiced her, so I was surprised by that. And then Patrick Warburton did Mr. Barkin, who was a PE coach. And he's from what, Seinfeld. He did the voice of Kronk
Yep.
in Emperor's New Groove. So yeah, yeah.
I was also looking. Debbie Reynolds was a voice in one of the shows, and so was Ricardo Montalban, and Ryder Strong, who was also in Boy Meets World, was also a voice on one or two episodes. So yeah, it's just kind of really cool that all these people lent their voices, and probably the people who were in demo to watch the show didn't care.
Right.
But looking back, it's just like, oh my gosh, look at all these people. So another thing that I think is funny about this show are all the names. Obviously Kim Possible, Ron Stoppable, Wade Load. That was funny. Instead of Wide Load, I assume. So her mom's name was like Dr. Ann Possible, like A Possible. And Jean Smart played her mom. Gary Cole played her dad. Again, more people, more famous people that were doing this. But the names were just kind of silly. Shigo, like where did that come from? I mean, it's just
One of the best episodes is when Shigo's family is on there. I don't know if you remember there, but it's they're all something go. So so that was really good. I think it's like her brother, the Tweeds, or Jim and Tim. I think Jim
yep.
and Tim Possible. So everything kind of rhymed. So it was cool. Yeah, yeah.
So what about the lingo? See, that's another thing too. I mean, it was very obvious that they wanted this to be hip and cool, and so she would say things like "so the drama" and "what's the sitch." What was your favorite that she would say?
Uh, Not her.
Okay.
Not her comment or saying, but I liked when the Tweeds did "Hickabicka-boo."
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of like, because a lot of times they say that twins have their own language, and so I think that was what was being represented, because they would just say "Hickabicka-boo," and then the other one would be like "Hickabicka-bee." And it was like they were having this conversation, but nobody understood what they were talking about. But they totally knew that they were devising some plan to help Kim out or to annoy her or something. So that was always my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I still say "what's the sitch" way too much. That people like have no idea what I'm talking about, or that I'm referencing that show. Here's another thing that was interesting to me about the show is that years after it was off the air, they made a Walt Disney World attraction about it called Kim Possible World Showcase Adventure, where you would go around with your Kim communicator,
Yeah,
just like from the show, and Wade would walk you through all this stuff. Did you ever do that?
I did not. I
Okay.
did not. Um, I probably haven't been to Disney World as much as you have. So by
Okay,
the
we're
time
done. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I think I missed it. Like I went before it was there, and then I went after it was there. Because
Yeah.
after they did that, they changed it to something from Perry with Perry the platypus,
Right.
and I'm forgetting the show name. Oh, Phineas and Ferb.
Right.
Phineas and Ferb. So no, did you ever do it?
I did, and I remember I was walking around and people saying, "Do people really remember this show? Like, why are they doing this?" But when you would play it, it was really cool the way that it was set up, and it was perfect for the World Showcase Adventure. But yeah, it was after the show had ended, so it was very strange. As much as Disney's into synergy, that they would start a product like that based on an IP that they're no longer using.
Right.
But it was still pretty fun, and you would go around to these different places in the countries, which at the time, if you were a little kid, maybe it wasn't a lot of fun to go to these countries. And so if you knew, like, you could take this phone and make things around you interact, which was really cool. If you would follow their missions, like things would pop out of like the top of a display in one of them, like a robot baby popped out of a display, and people who didn't play the game were looking around going, what is happening here right now? And meanwhile, everybody's looking down at their communicator, and you would take your mission, and you could do a mission in each country. And it was really cool. But then again, like you said, they made it the Perry's World Showcase Adventure afterwards, and it's about to be changed again into the new DuckTales. So it is a neat feature.
Hmm.
It fit perfectly with this IP though, with the Kim Possible IP. But it makes me think more. Like you brought up the whole Perry thing, is that I see a lot of parallels between Kim Possible and Phineas and Ferb. The music, for one, because there was a lot of good music in Phineas and Ferb.
Absolutely.
And then the fact that they're always going on these adventures, and Perry was a secret agent, and just things that happened like that were the same in each episode that carried through. So I think it was a good idea to go transition into Phineas and Ferb, but I almost wish they had kept it Kim Possible, just because I am such a huge fan of this.
Like it's Kim Possible is underrated. Like
Sure.
I just don't feel like it gets as much credit or has as much fame or notoriety, however you want to put it, as some of the other shows. Although there was a lot of reaction to the live version show movie that they did. So
Okay, so all right, so so I was going to get to that. So there were 87 episodes of the original series, 4 seasons, and I assume you watched them all.
yeah,
Then there were 2 movies. The what was that? So the drama and a Sitch in Time. Is that the two?
yep, Stitch in Time,
Okay,
correct.
so with all that going on, then years later they make this live action Kim Possible movie, and you were excited about it, I assume?
I was not
Oh,
because
okay.
I was
Withdrawn.
not simply because I am such a diehard fan of the cartoon
Okay.
that I didn't see how this was going to be good because just I know with CGI they can do things like have a naked mole rat and that type of thing,
Right.
but I just didn't understand how they were going to do all the things that Kim Possible does with the action and the robotics and all that stuff. I knew it wasn't going to have the same feel.
Gotcha. So have you watched it though?
I did.
And you clearly were disappointed in it.
Yeah, I
It
didn't.
it exactly lived up to your expectations, which were, this is going to be awful, and it was awful.
Yes. I don't think it was as awful as some reviews made it out to be. I just don't think it was very good. And I don't think it captured the essence of Kim Possible. I don't think it captured her strength. I think she's a much stronger person in the cartoon. Even though she shows high school feelings, like not being able to talk to boys, being embarrassed, not wanting to have a zit, that type of thing. For some reason, when it crossed over to the movie, the real life movie, I felt like she was more of a wimp, so to speak, where she just let so much more affect her, and I didn't like that. And then the guy that played Ron Stoppable, he's the same guy that plays on the Goldbergs,
Right.
Adam on the Goldbergs. I'm not a big fan of his, so
Okay, fair enough.
so I didn't like his interpretation of Ron Stoppable. So yeah, so I think if they got the original crew back and like did more animated, like more on the animated series, I feel like they would capture the magic that it had before. So,
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I mean, like, why wouldn't they do something like that? They already did two straight to DVD movies, or it may
right.
not have been straight to DVD. They already did two movies, so why wouldn't they have done another animated? Because it's easy to do. I mean, people don't really age all that much in their voice, so they could probably
Exactly.
have pulled it off. And maybe they will still. I mean, now that you have Disney Plus, you have all these other opportunities to put your IP out there, and they're bringing back Lizzie McGuire.
Mhm.
Netflix brought back Fuller House. There's always a possibility that they could do that. You should write a letter. You should make it happen.
I think it would be good. I don't know what the voice talents are doing right now. I don't know what Christy Carlson Romano and Will and Taj are all up to now, but I think they would be available. Yeah. I think,
just for like a recording session, I feel
yeah,
like they could make that happen.
I feel like they could make that happen too,
Just
right?
throw a little money at them. I'm sure they'd make it work. Okay, so here's the big question then. Would you recommend this show to someone who is looking for something deeper on Disney Plus?
Absolutely. It's because it's a animated series. They're short. They're like 23 minutes long, so you can get one in when you have just a little bit of downtime. Just flick it on and watch it. And it's just fun. I mean, it takes your mind off of everything else that's going on. Like I said, there's good music. You can listen to the Naked Mole Rap. Come on now, it's awesome.
No, those are all good selling points. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, to me, it is one of those where you can just like watch an episode here and there. It's not like you really need to keep track of it. They explain to you in each episode what you need to know. And you know what? Unlike some shows, there are some out there that do not stand the test of time. I honestly think this one does. I think this is one that held up. There were some other shows that are on there that maybe that are on Disney Plus that we may cover down the road that I just think probably don't stand the test of time and wouldn't keep today's audience interested. But I think this is one that you could watch if you were like 5 or 55 and still enjoy it and have a good time. Well, I appreciate you bringing this one up and us going deep into it today. And anybody who has any comments about it, or maybe you love it, or maybe there's some reason that you didn't love it, definitely let us know in the comments below or hit us up on social media. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Deep in the Plus. So thank you, Deanna. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
All right, Deanne, so you know how this works. You also have to give us your deep pick of the week. So what is your deep pick of the week?
My deep pick of the week is my most favoritist of all time direct to DVD or video movie, and I have another prop. It's the Three Musketeers.
Nice, very cool. Okay, all right. So tell me
It
about
is
that.
my It's my very favorite, and I actually have it on DVD. And it's just an interpretation where Donald, Mickey, and Goofy they play like kind of like peasant boys, and they're just in awe of the Three Musketeers, and they strive to be a musketeer. And this is just their story about how they do it, and it's a story about friendship. The three of them working together to reach a common goal. Uh, there's some struggles, some tough times, but in the end, they stay friends, they work together, and they get it done. It's amazing. It has some good music in it. Um, it just like it's only an hour and 11 minutes long. It's a nice little short thing. I think it's good for kids, good for adults. It's just a good storyline, and it has some good songs, and it's funny. It's a lot of fun. So that's why I pick it. I don't hear a lot of people talk about it, so that's the one I picked.
That's a good one. I absolutely think people will have overlooked that. So that's a good one to pick. Now, who's your favorite of the Fab Five? Who's your favorite character?
I am a Mickey person. Yes.
All right.
Yes. I'm in my music room, I guess I would call it, but every room in my house has something Mickey. So
Bless
my
your heart. That is awesome. See, I knew there
my
was a
down
reason I liked you. Let me let you in on mine, and it was actually inspired by Kim Possible because as I was looking through and I realized that there was a crossover between Kim Possible and the Lilo and Stitch series
yeah.
that happened in that era you were talking about between season 3 and season 4. They just call it the crossover, but it was episode 19, season 2 of Lilo and Stitch. It wasn't even Kim Possible; it was in Lilo and Stitch, and it was called Rufus, which is weird because like I feel like most of it wasn't about Rufus, but the catch with the 626 show was, or the Stitch series was that each episode was about a different one of the numbered aliens, and they thought the Rufus was 607. And so they kept thinking, they kept going through and trying to figure out if this was like actually one of Stitch's cousins, even though that wasn't the main storyline. The main storyline was that Stitch gets taken and they don't know by who. And so Pleakley is a huge fan, I'm going to go ahead and say fanboy of Kim Possible. So he goes on her website, sends her an email, says, you got to come. She comes and Pleakley's freaking out. He's so excited. But then at the same time, Lilo just is like, we don't need her. Like, I've saved the world a bunch of times. I got this. We don't need her at all. And then while they're there and Ron Stoppable is there, Rufus pops out. Jumbo goes, wait a minute. That's one of Stitch's cousins. That's one of my experiments. And so again, it's like a kind of a slim reason to bring that in. But you know what? I really did enjoy this show, the Lilo and Stitch show, and it's got a lot of similarities, I guess, to Kim Possible. But this had Shigo in it as Dr. Draken. Draken's working with Dr. Hamsterville to try to capture Stitch, and it's I mean, it's a fun little story, and actually the cool part about it is if you know anything about Lilo and Stitch, if you watch the original movie, and you know anything about Kim Possible, that's all you need. You don't have to have like knowledge of everything about it, and so it's kind of cool that it sort of stands alone. A lot of Lilo picking up the what's the sitch and the little things that that Kim Possible says, and then Pleakley by the end has a Kim Possible wig on because he's such a fan. So and then they all hula and it's great. I mean, there's more to it than that, so I'm not going to spoil the whole thing about it, but definitely I think this one is worth a shot. So it's Lilo and Stitch, season 2, episode 19, Rufus. Check it out.
That's a great choice.
Oh, you approve? You've seen it?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have. I love the Lilo and Stitch series as well. So, yes, I have seen that, and I definitely approve. So, totally, that's a good one. That's a good call.
I did it. Okay, cool. I'm excited. So, Deanne, thank you so much for being on this with me and doing this with me. So, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Cool beans. Thank you.
If you like what you're watching, make sure you like and subscribe. You can also find us on social at Deep in the Plus on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you're a Disney Parks fan, don't forget to catch me and Rob on Park Center Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on WDWNT.com.